Hello and welcome aboard to this episode of the We Are Reading One Piece podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to following the entire story of One Piece from beginning to end as we focus on each volume. We keep the discussion spoiler-free for new fans of the series, so this is a perfect place to follow along, whether you're new to the series or just want to revisit the world of One Piece with us. This week, we will be covering the first part of Volume 55, A Ray of Hope, which covers chapters 533 through 537. My name is Joel, and I'll be your host. Joining me today, we have Sean.
This is Sean.
We have Evan.
This is Evan.
And we have Cody.
Let's go, Dante's Inferno. Let's go.
Dante's Inferno intensifies.
Electric Boogaloo.
It's like modern day Dante's Inferno. Yeah, now it's like, how many Virgils does Luffy need? Yeah, so where we left off from the last volume, Luffy continued his journey further down into Impel Down, accompanied by Buggy and Mr. 3. Though Luffy was the only one actively trying to. Magellan escorted Hancock to see Ace, where she was able to discreetly pass a message to him that Luffy is here to save him. Buggy and Mr. 3 released Bon Clay from his cell, who rushed to Luffy's aid to assist in his quest to reach his brother, while also wanting to meet the legendary Queen Eva, who is rumored to be in this prison. Buggy and Mr. 3 inadvertently reunited with Luffy and Mr. 3 as they were chased by the Joe Beast Minotaur, but Luffy was able to defeat it. Magellan returned from the lower levels to find out about the chaos that has been happening in this prison, so he decided to take matters into his own hands. So yeah, we're right in the thick of it with Impel Down, and things are getting a little crazy here.
Things are heating up.
That's a perfect segue into chapter 533, level 4, Inferno Hell. Hancock departs with the Navy for Marineford as she worries about Luffy's safety. Word has reached the Navy that Shanks has been battling Kaido in the New World to prevent him from attacking Whitebeard. Luffy and his allies end up falling through the floor once again, finding themselves on level 4, Inferno Hell. Magellan and his forces prepare for Luffy to arrive at the entrance to the passage that leads from level 3 to 4. A report comes in that Luffy is already on level 4. Hannibal is ordered to guard the stairway back to level 3, while Mercedes is to protect the entrance level 5 with her jailer beasts. Luffy fights off the prison forces until Magellan himself appears. All right, where do you guys want to start on this one?
I like the emphasis you put on allies.
Yeah, yeah, it's like
What a
Luffy's
crew.
term.
What a crew of people we have here. A motley crew.
It's like sometimes allies, but kind of.
The fact that it takes them so long to realize that they're actually falling and not the ceiling getting higher. They're just 4/4 of one brain cell, and it's wonderful.
It took a second.
Well, I don't know if we ever really thought that, but I swear Mr. 3 is presented as this like cunning strategist when he first appears. And then just to see how far he's devolved into this just like schlubby, just like dirt covered idiot here, and just with the rest of them is just like, man, how far you have fallen, Mr. 3.
About the comforts of his wax house and his
Yeah.
wax up, he's nothing.
Well, to be fair, he's also out of his element.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Particularly in this area, like what kind of wax is he gonna make in this heat? That shit's gonna melt immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. You loved how nonchalant Luffy is. Wow, look at this huge chunk of dry blood that was up my nose.
That was
The funniest Luffy lines. I love him. I mean, we also do get some pretty interesting information in these first couple pages of the chapter. A Marine reports to Vice Admiral Mamanga that one of the 4 emperors, Kaido, has been fighting with Shanks in the New World,
Hmm.
which is
Big name drops.
Have we heard of this Kaido person yet? I don't think by
Yeah,
name.
he's the one that defeated Moria.
Ah, that's right.
So he's making moves. So it seems like Kaido is no friend of Whitebeard.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of like vying for like Whitebeard's spot. Even though he's also one of the 4 emperors, he's kind of like, well, I'm still competing for the title of the Pirate King. So this is my chance to maybe take down Whitebeard. But then Shanks is kind of like, no, like that's not cool, dude. Whitebeard's a cool bro. I'm not gonna let you do that. So Shanks is kind of more like, let's protect the status quo, and Kaido's like, yeah, let's see if we can shake things up a little bit in my favor.
And a little
Wait, let's
reminder
hear
that
this
there is a
Kaido guy
war
out, you know?
brewing.
Yeah. No, it's just crazy that like we've basically been told like, okay, this is like the top of the world, these 4 emperors, and they're being drawn into this. The ceiling of this world is even beyond what we know for sure is being drawn into this one conflict so much, and it's really setting the stage.
Yeah, so it's like the impact of this war is spreading beyond just here. Like it's having a bigger impact on the world as a whole, and it's throwing things out of balance.
So is this like, is Inferno Hell like half just slow, torturous execution and half imprisonment? Because like they're being literally dumped into a giant boiling cauldron, and which they will kill them, like I presume. But then the other ones are just bringing firewood to help kill the rest of them. So I don't really understand. I don't know. This is a exaggerated universe, so I'm not really like, well, how that doesn't seem up to prison standards. But like, because it seems like the rest of the levels, while very terrifying, were in theory not immediately we're just gonna execute you, and like that's why they imprisoned the other guy, the prior warden, because he was just killing people. So they're also they kill some people but not others, at other times it doesn't have to be a prescribed way, or like I don't know.
I assume there's some sort of rhyme or reason as to when a prisoner can get executed or whatever. I mean, we'll get into that with like even something Magellan says. It does get a little murky.
Yeah,
I feel like it's like kind of like the, oh hey, you better not screw up. You better help us kill the other prisoners, or you can get thrown in the fire. This really sucks, doesn't it? Maybe you wish you made some different choices there, Buckaroo. Something along those lines. I assume it's like a mental torture of some degree as well. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's weird.
It's weird. But it also makes sense. But it's also weird. You know, It's like, yeah.
My thing is like, one of the jailer beasts here, just straight up pushes people like into the boiling pot. So I mean, it seems like intentional. It's not like, accidentally knocked them in. It's like yeah, maybe it's just like, oh, it doesn't mind. We don't care if like a few kind of slip in here and there.
Yeah,
that's what I meant. Like, directly they are pushed in. Like,
yeah. Or maybe it's like, hey, if you don't listen to us, if that's enough insubordination, then we have the right to oopsie. Or if you don't carry the firewood well enough or something like that. I assume there's some parameters. They're just not mentioned to us, really.
It could be some kind of like repercussions for not cooperating enough in prison.
Yeah.
So it could be like just punishments. Like, all right, you guys had your 3 strikes, now you're out. Even that might be kind of generous. It's probably less than that.
We are on level 4, so I assume the consequences will be a little harsher than the first 3. Because these people have allegedly done worse. I mean, most of them probably have. I don't want to say they have. Just with the world government, I don't know.
Yeah, like what's wrong in the eyes of the world government is probably different from everybody else.
For as many murderers and like slave traders or something that are under here, actually no, slave trading's fine as long as you do it in specific areas. So,
it was unauthorized slave trading.
If you don't have your
paperwork, straight to impel down. There's also entirely likely to be some like anti-government, even just people saying like, "Oh, maybe we should try a more democratic form of it," and Tim Pebble down. Whoops.
Probably.
And then we also do get a little cameo here from another former Brooks member.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Wa two.
We get Mr. One.
Mr. One.
One.
Right. I keep forgetting. Yes.
Yeah, Das Bones.
Das Bones.
Yeah, but he's on this level. So I think that accounts for all the Baroque Works members that we saw were sent here from the cover story.
Mm-hmm. If you count a highly silhouetted mouth, then yes.
Yeah. We saw his hook too.
Oh, true. Can't forget the hook.
Yeah.
Can't forget the hook.
Yeah. It's pretty explicit.
Yeah.
And the lower the number, the lower the level they were assigned.
And we also see
Yeah.
the other jailer beast here.
I do love these designs.
Yeah.
And the
you're
fact
right.
that the zebra is shy. But it looks like the zebra was also the one pushing these dudes into the fire.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. I
So
think
maybe
it's, Mina
it's like a
zebra.
tsundere kind of thing. Oh, I don't want to be your friend, Baka. Pushes them away. Oh shit, that's a pit of fire.
Well, it's one of the other guards that was giving the order, so that they gave the order for the jailer beast to push them in, right? Because like there was like this guy on the page that said, "You deserve whatever you get. How many people did you kill before you came here?"
Oh, yeah.
It says, "Do it," and we see
Yeah, you're right.
we see the wind up and the swing.
There goes my fan fiction.
Yeah.
Foiled by reading comprehension.
Damn it, Canon! They ruined my fan fiction.
Damn it, Oda.
Yeah, so then we get a little bit more chaos as Luffy and friends try to navigate through this level. Seems like Luffy finds the smell of food. He tries to follow his nose, and then Magellan himself shows up.
Oh,
And what an entrance at that.
Yeah, like look how much bigger he is compared to Luffy.
just a little bit.
I think Bon Clay's face says it all. I do
At
love
first-
these perspective shots from Oda. They always hit.
Yeah. But yeah, before Magellan actually shows up, we see like some of the poison dripping down, and Luffy's like, "Where's this jelly? Poo?" Well, I hope he's wrong on that one.
Yeah.
I feel like Luffy definitely would have tried eating it to find out
Oh.
if Magellan didn't come down.
I don't know about that.
I
I
don't
think Luffy has some
If-
standards.
Yeah, if it was meat, that'd be a different story.
Yeah. He'd at least be curious. He'd at least smell it. I don't know. Also, going back a bit, I love Magellan's little throne carrying chair, and the fact that he can just pop out the back of it, and
Oh, yeah.
Hannibal's reaction to it. When I take your place, I want a more open chair. I don't want that chair anymore.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah, so you guys get to move on.
Good to go.
So just a small note. I did notice that there was a typo on the title page. So on the table of contents, yeah, so they spell Magellan with an E at the end, but it's supposed to be with an A. Like so, like the chapter itself has the correct spelling,
Oh,
but I noticed that the title page had the wrong spelling. So at first, I was like, "Am I spelling Magellan wrong?" Like this whole time, and I noticed like in the text, like they call him with like Magellan with an A, and then the title did say it with an A. So I'm like, "Oh, okay, so that's probably just a typo there."
did not notice that.
But yeah, just noticed that. That was weird. But anyway, doesn't really affect the chapter, which is chapter 534, Warden Magellan versus Pirate Luffy. Bon Clay urges Luffy not to fight the Warden. Magellan uses his Venom powers to attack Luffy, taking out some of his own men in the process. As Luffy fights Magellan, Bon Clay realizes it's useless to stay and fight, so he reluctantly leaves Luffy behind. Buggy and Mr. 3 do the same, but without remorse. Luffy refuses to surrender, vowing to save Ace as he hits Magellan with a Gum Gum Jet Bazooka. Thoughts on this one?
I'm sure this is going to go swimmingly.
Yeah, it seems like a tough matchup for Luffy.
Yeah, especially because now it's like a solo fight. Yeah, even Bon Clay, who previously was like, yeah, I said was like ride or die for Luffy, and was not backing down. They were in this fight together. But Magellan might be a step too far, and Bon Clay realizes, okay, well, maybe I'm in over my head here. There's something I can do. I'm just gonna run.
Don't be a hero.
But he does warn Luffy not to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Venom Road. The unknown secret extra Mario Kart stage after Rainbow Road.
The track starts to like fall apart as you start driving
Yeah.
down it.
By the end of it, you just everyone's character is dry bones.
I do like the fact that we get some relatively creative uses of Magellan's powers in this chapter. Like, there's obviously the Hydra, and that first page when the Hydra's coming down on Luffy and Bone Clay, epic.
Oh yeah,
Um,
so cool.
I just, anytime Oda uses negative space, I always thank you.
Yeah.
There's also the Chloro Ball that I guess created a cloud of poison gas that then exploded because of the heat. I didn't do well in chemistry. Venom Road, as we mentioned, where he goes through the Hydra, and then his horns. He can take them off, use them as melee weapons, and then literally melt rock with the poison in there, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like he has little hair tassels, kind of like Buggy, how like when he was wearing his hat, like the hair was coming out of the ends. So he has like these kind of like little pigtails for his hair underneath the horns.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just in general, like the use of the powers to portray the Venom powers, I think it's so cool. Like the effect that he uses to kind of give it like that glossy look. Yeah, just like the way like it like oozes from Magellan himself, and like when it like covers other stuff, I think it's just like a really cool effect.
Definitely. Not only creatively, but I think artistically, this is like one of the coolest Devil Fruit powers that I've seen on the page. I think like this, it's just so impactful, and it looks so dynamic and so good. This Hydra is awesome. Up there with like Blackbeard is like some of the coolest Devil Fruit abilities I think we've seen portrayed.
100% agree.
I guess this is just something I always think about when seeing the Magellan abilities and stuff, is like it's kind of poison and acid at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, they can't really make up their mind, or Oda's like, don't worry about it. It's like sometimes it behaves more like acid, and then other times it's more like poison, and then other like it's kind of both at the same time.
What if there's like a linguistic reason for that? I have no idea. I'll look it up later. There probably isn't.
I think it's just if you just see it as very dangerous viscous liquid.
Yeah.
That's about what it is. It's just like I can turn into he has the very dangerous viscous liquid fruit. Whatever, like devil fruit. Like say that twice, then add fruit in the end.
Just rolls right off the tongue.
Exactly.
You have to say it twice too for consistency.
Of course.
But Magellan's pretty merciless here because he's not afraid to take down his own subordinates in the crossfire. If it means taking down the prisoners, or in this case, Luffy's not even a prisoner, but he's soon to be a prisoner. Once they catch him, they're going to be like, all right, well, now you belong here. But yeah, like he gets one of his own guys, and he's like, I warned you fools to stay out of my line of fire. And then they apologize to him, like, oh, sorry, our bad. But it seems like a pretty terrible fate here, because they're just like in terrible pain. Some of them do carry gas masks at least, so some of them are kind of prepared.
For the chloral ball, at least. Otherwise, doesn't seem like there's really much they can do aside from the antidote.
Yeah. You had something, Sean?
No, that's what I was about to say. Yeah, it's like, oh, well,
Okay.
that was your line of work. you could have, I don't know, become like a baker. Like, no, I want to be a prison guard. All right. I hope the 401k was worth it.
God knows the hours suck. You also get more Buggy Mr. 3 shenanigans. More chemistry between these two. They decide they're going to take on Hannibal. Those. Good luck to you, buddies.
Yeah, 2 peas in a pod.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys have anything else for this one?
The Gum Gum Bazooka looks epic.
Yeah, Luffy does land a blow on him, so...
Yeah.
Which, as far as Luffy seems to think, and probably true, is like, oh, this is the one hit I get before my arms are gone. But let's make it a big one.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
Luffy's
not going down without a fight. Okay, let's move on. Chapter 535, Friend. Hannibal was able to stop Buggy and Mr. 3 at the entrance to level 3. Bon Clay continues to run for safety, telling himself there is nothing he could do to help by staying behind. Luffy was able to land a blow on Magellan, but he has been able to cover Luffy in poison throughout the fight. Luffy starts to become disoriented by Magellan's poison fog. Luffy is no longer able to fight and is told that he'll be dead within 24 hours. Magellan orders his guards to bring Luffy down to level 5, Frozen Hell, until he dies. A report comes in from Magellan that Hannibal was beaten by the prisoners. Hannibal says he was defeated by Bon Clay. Magellan orders for the guards to get his prison back under control. Hannibal brings Buggy and Mr. 3 to the interrogation room, where he reveals himself to actually be Bon Clay. Now that he has rescued them, he tells them that they are going down to level 5 to rescue Luffy. All right.
Hannibal is so petty. And I love it. Literally, he was literally willing to circumvent his own job to make it look like Magellan's not doing his job so that Hannibal can get Magellan's job.
Yeah.
Which he then might not do. Maybe, or he will. I don't know.
Remains to be seen.
Remains to be seen. But still sick. And funny, I guess. Not sick.
Why is Hannibal like 70% stomach?
This is One Piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's confusing every time I look at it. I'm like, okay. Nothing's happening. Nothing at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Everything's fine.
Yeah, so it seemed that Hannibal told Buggy and Mr. 3 that he would let them go through, and he kind of changed his mind and just beat them up anyway.
I guess.
Well, they just start swinging, and at a certain point, he's like, okay, you know what? This isn't getting anywhere. I feel like he was just like more annoyed than anything. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
fine.
You guys forced my hand.
Whatever he does.
I was just going to let you go.
And poor Bone Clay is, well, not poor Bone Clay, but he's very conflicted as he runs away from the Luffy Magellan fight.
Yeah, I mean, you got to hand it to Bon Clay because he really does care about Luffy. So this does pain him to have to leave. But he does justify it by saying, like, I can't do anything here. I'm not going to be any use, so like, I have to at least try to live.
Live to fight another day.
Yeah.
I didn't realize the fact that was the line, I won't be of any use. Because to me, yeah, that That didn't stand out as much to me the first time, because that is a huge differing factor between that and when he saved them from Hina.
Yeah. But at the end of the chapter, we do see that his plan was to go back for Luffy, so he's not abandoning him.
Mhm.
So it's like a tactical retreat.
Get more cool applications of Magellan's fruit.
Yeah, such a cool ability. I thought Luffy was going to pull out of this one. I thought like at the end where he's kind of flailing and just trying to hit Magellan, but Magellan's dodging his attacks. I thought he was like destroying the wall or something. Like I was holding on the hope that he had a trick up his sleeve. But yeah, he was bested by Magellan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like he doesn't even have to dodge because Luffy's just so disoriented. He came and hit him.
Yeah,
because he's just like so out of it now. So like Luffy is in no condition to fight. So now it's just like easy pickings for Magellan. He's like, all right, you're done. And he just like covers him in poison. And he's like, yeah, you're just gonna die. So let's just bring him over to level 5, so he can just spend the rest of his few hours in pain when he dies.
Yeah, that last shot of him, of Luffy covered in the poison saying ace with like the chipped kind of text, like the text itself is kind of like broken.
Mm-hmm.
Tragic.
I think
Pretty gloom.
I think the whole end of the fight just is just so well done.
Yeah, it's important to note here that Magellan says that you've absorbed too much poison. No antidote can save you now.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they do try to get him an antidote, he's saying that like there's so much poison, it's like not even worth it. There's nothing that can be done to help. Yeah, so then he's being brought down to level 5, which definitely is giving Dante's Inferno vibes now with the the frozen hell.
Dragon.
Yeah, like we have like a prisoner like eating frozen bread and is like cracking his teeth.
That's my finger fell off.
Oh yeah. So casual.
We're attacked by a freak who knew karate. That's completely caught off guard.
I love it.
Yeah, so that's Bon Clay putting on an act.
Yeah, I missed it. Missed Bon Clay's deception.
Yeah.
Where did he get the headdress?
He took it from Hannibal.
Oh, it is Hannibal. Okay.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
took
we
his
beat him
clothes.
up.
He's like, I gotta play this role. Yeah, and even now, Bon Clay is like, all right, now you two, you're gonna help me save Straw Boy.
Yeah, these two keep getting dragged down. They keep trying to make their escape, but here they are.
Yeah, so that's pretty great. Like just throughout the entire arc, it's been like such like a push and pull. Like they're actually trying to get away, and then whatever happens, like no matter what they do, it doesn't matter because like it just ends up with them coming back to like where Luffy is, trying to help Luffy. Yeah, that's all I got on this one. Do you guys have any other thoughts?
No.
That's about it.
Okay, let's move on to chapter 536, level 5, Frozen Hell. Disguised as Hannibal, Bon Clay asks the prison doctors for an antidote that could cure Luffy, but they all say that there is nothing that would work. Running out of ideas, he remembers that Eva is a miracle worker, may be able to save his friend. Hannibal brings his prisoners to level 5 and sees that Imperio Ivankov's name has been crossed off the list of prisoners, as he mysteriously disappeared one day. Buggy and Mr. 3 ditch Bon Clay as soon as they see the army wolves, leaving Bon Clay to find Luffy on his own. Bon Clay finds Luffy in a cell. He releases him and puts him on a sled, leaving the keys for the other prisoners. He tries to ask about Eva, though the other prisoners aren't particularly helpful. One tells him that they saw someone strange in the trees, though fails to mention that this is the den of the wolves. Luffy and Bon Clay are swarmed by wolves until Luffy uses the Haki of the Supreme King to knock them all out. Luffy and Bon Clay pass out, but are found by a stranger going for a stroll. All right, thoughts on this one?
That's why you always enter Frozen Hell unarmed and half naked. We all respect you a great deal for it. There's no way we can imitate this custom of yours, sir, but you're right. It really does show the prisoners who's boss.
Yeah, that's pretty hilarious.
Hannibal's kind of based.
Yeah. Bon Clay's like, all right, I guess I gotta go with it.
If he doesn't want to try to knock these guys out too, I guess.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Well, I also think that possibly there could be a security transponder snails
Yeah.
because they mentioned this chapter, right? That the frozen hell is too cold for them, but they haven't mentioned about any other levels, right? So I'm assuming there's probably some that are suited for the other levels. So it's possible that if he did knock out the guards, that it could trigger an alarm.
At the very least, you'd want like surveillance between like the main entrances and exits to each level too.
Yeah, because they are at the
So-
door specifically.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't seem like they've been keeping good track of the prisoners throughout this whole thing. So
I mean, they've kind of been having a lot on their plate like since Luffy got in there. So
yeah, but I
Yeah.
do wonder if they do have transponder sales on this level. Now that I'm thinking about it, because maybe it's just like the higher levels. Maybe they don't bother like with surveillance because people aren't crazy enough to run around this prison going to this level.
I mean, they're a little immobile compared to the other levels. So
Yeah.
I also just love sorry to bring it back, but Hannibal's prisoner list,
Yes.
the Panda Man.
Yes, Panda Man for the chapter.
Hey, man.
But it's odd that Panda Man isn't crossed out. So it implies that he's actively a prisoner here. Maybe they don't realize he broke out.
See on level 6? Is Panda Man gonna help save Ace? Please, Oda, please.
No spoilers.
Just a theory.
Yeah, so Imperio Ivankov's name has been crossed out because he vanished. So there's like a rumor going around that some prisoners are just randomly dragged to hell from what they call the demon's invitation. So nobody knows for sure exactly what's happening, but they just know people are disappearing. And that's their best theory.
Well, I guess that's just gonna have to happen sometimes. Sometimes people will just disappear. Let's not look into it too much.
Sometimes they fall in the pot. Sometimes,
Just one less thing to worry about.
Is anybody else getting Cruella de Vil and 101 Army Wolves at the end of this chapter here?
Oh yeah. A little bit of kind of Tim Burton-y too.
Yeah, Tim
Even though we're
Burton.
not on Thriller Bark anymore.
Are you talking about the character that shows up at the end?
Yes, the mystery character.
Very mysterious.
I remember being so hype on this design as soon as this chapter came out. I was like, I don't care who they are. I don't care what they mean for the story. I just want to see more of this design. This is sick.
Yeah, they've got pizzazz.
The lightning scar. Got Harry Potter in there too. And the author isn't a transphobe? Well,
Is improving.
is actually yes. Yeah.
It's like the anti J.K. Rowling.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's very interesting that this person is just randomly able to walk around and not seem bothered by what's going on. They're carrying around a wine glass. So I think that's like an ultimate sign of like, yo, I'm chilling. I'm just having a good time here.
Yep.
But before we actually get to that part, Bon Clay does go on quite the journey to go to great lengths to look for Luffy and isn't giving up. So he knows that Luffy's here and is actively trying to find him to help him. The prisoners aren't very helpful. And like, why are you bothering to, find somebody else? Worry about yourself. That's how you're going to die. And like one dude's like, oh yeah, I think I saw somebody over there. You should go check it out. And they're like, that's where the wolves are, right? Like, yeah. Oh, did I not mention that? Oops. But yeah, that's what leads Bon Clay to be attacked by these wolves. And Luffy has a little bit of fight left in him when he bites one of the wolves as well.
And then he
Yeah, it doesn't
does
stop
that
there.
thing.
Yeah, Luffy says, "What do you think you're doing to Bon?" And then like the wolves flinch, and then we see like the close up of Luffy's eye, and we see like that wave like blast them all, and he goes, "Beat it!" And then they all get like knocked over, and then Luffy falls to the ground again. So that kind of took like his last little bit of strength.
And Bon Clay is like, "What the hell was that?"
And Bon Clay goes down too.
And then he goes down too.
Balclay's looking unwell. Like, let's
Yeah.
not skip it. Like, from the moment he like showed up at Luffy's cell, he was messed up. But these wolves, he was even worse. He went through a hell for Luffy this chapter.
Yeah. So again, you gotta give Bon Clay some props. This
He's
arc.
the best.
I've been giving him props since day one. They just keep coming.
Yeah, I just think it brings Bon Clay to like a whole nother level. To like that, like he would go to like these lengths for Luffy, and especially after we saw like he was running away. Like it made it seem like he was abandoning Luffy after everything, but he was, again, it was a tactical retreat where he had the full intention of coming back to help Luffy. So he wasn't ever abandoning him. He was just like, let me try to find a way to be more helpful for him.
I've shown so many people the scene of Bon Clay fighting the wolves. Just say like just to show them how much this character is like relatively minor, has such an integral role and is such a great expression of the theme of friendship in this story. It's just how these little relationships can blossom into something so beautiful.
Yeah.
And also give just like a great fight too, for the standard show and fair. But
For
it
sure.
works on both levels, and it's one of
I
the
love that.
scenes. Yeah.
Yeah, some great stuff. Yeah. Do you guys have anything else for this chapter? Okay, well, let's move on to the final chapter for this episode. Chapter 537, A Ray of Hope. The real Hannibal was outsmarted by Bon Clay, who took on the form of Nami to put his guard down. The impelled down forces are on full alert to find the missing prisoners. Bon Clay wakes up to find himself in a bar that the patrons refer to as New Kama. Bon Clay thinks he must be dreaming, as this place is a paradise. The stranger introduces themselves as Inazuma and explains that they took Luffy in as well. Before Bon Clay can ask more questions, they tell him to take a seat as the show is about to start. Ivankov takes the stage and explains that this is level 5.5, the prisoner's secret garden, New Kama Land. A pirate interrupts the show, swearing vengeance on Ivankov for turning his father, a former king, into a woman. Ivankov turns the pirate into a woman too, who runs off. Here, it's all about having freedom to be who you are, and that they have transcended the concept of gender. Impressed, Bon Clay begs for them to help Luffy. Normally, Ivankov wouldn't have felt obligated to help, but he was also impressed by Luffy's compassion, because he asked them to help Bon Clay when he was dying himself. Unable to turn him away, they had started Luffy's treatment 10 hours ago, locking him up in a cave. Luffy has been screaming the entire time. However, he still has 2 more days of treatment to go.
2 more days. We don't have 2 more days.
Yeah. The last chapter actually ended saying 26 hours until Ace's public execution. So it's important to note that 2 days would be too late to help Ace.
Indeed.
But
So
yeah,
I have
there's
to-
a lot to talk about here. So, Cody, you had something?
I have to requalify my statement for the last chapter because I had to like mildly step back to my Rowling comparison just because I didn't want to allude too heavily to this chapter. This came out in 2009. This is the kind of thing that I wanted to see when Sanji got transported.
Yeah.
Plus, it also came out like during the height of my Rocky Horror obsession, so that was just a nice bonus for me.
Yeah. So, do you guys want to start off with New Kama Land, or do you want to start off with the beginning of the chapter?
I mean, I feel like we kind of just got to get into it.
Let's do it. yeah. So, who has strong opinions about this chapter?
I mean, I feel like I remember back when I first saw this character and this concept several years ago, at least a decade ago, when I was getting into One Piece. I was like, this seems out of place, and it felt very like directly different to everything else we like. It just some part of it, like, I don't want to call it transphobia on my part when I was like 10 years 13 years younger or something, but it just felt too like direct of like, hey, look, it's Frankenfurter from Rocky Horror Picture Show. Because it was just like, it's so clearly the inspiration is so blatant.
100%.
But at the time I didn't like it that much because it just felt too silly. But then when you actually read the dialogue of like what Ivankov is saying and what they're about, it's like somehow the least silliest thing. It's the most true to life thing in this whole manga so far.
Mm-hmm.
As silly as they appear, and they do, it's the message they have is the most goddamn like socially poignant thing yet, almost. So it's like, oh, we're actually going there that like almost no other manga goes to. So yeah, okay, I love it. as a 32-year-old, 33 as of recently, it's great. It's great. I do wish they would turn. I do hope that person can turn back and like either they actually did want to be like change gender or they get to change back though, because that was still kind of a dick move.
Yeah, that was like my one caveat as I read.
Yeah, I'm like, wait,
he didn't.
I don't
Yeah.
think because the implication I thought was like, first I was like, if I'm doing the charitable thing, I'm like, somehow Ivankov was like, no, I could see inside that you wanted to like change gender, but I don't think that's the case, and they just run away, and I don't think it's ever brought up again. So
like, you have the freedom. You have the freedom to be who you want to be.
Unless
Just kidding.
Just never mind. It's like,
I'm gonna force this on you.
Don't love that, but yeah, like I'm gonna put that on the category of early installment weirdness, and just like let that one slide for now.
Yeah, I'd like to think of it as okay, this guy was literally about to kill me. At the very least, I'll fuck with him a little bit, and then I'll turn him right back.
Maybe
He just didn't get the
panel. Think he's like, yeah, Bogan, get out of here. But,
yeah, he just like didn't have the opportunity because like Bella just like ran at me. It's like,
he
well,
ran off. Yeah,
if they want to go back, they know where to go. So, but still, it's like, man, you should have thought that through.
Yeah, so it's like, well, if you didn't want to stay with him, you could have stayed and be like, hey, turn me back. It's like, oh, I guess what that's what they wanted. So
who knows?
In a way, that's what they chose. Yeah. Anybody else have thoughts for this one?
I was a little surprised by Bon Clay's reaction to seeing all this.
Yeah.
Being like, who are all these freaks? Like he's seeing his idol for the first time. I thought he'd have a different, or I thought they would have like a different reaction to this scene than they did.
Well, he did refer to himself as a freak earlier when he said, well, I got defeated by some freak when he was doing this. So I think it's almost kind of like an
endearing.
Yes, I think it's kind of like taking like that term and using it as like an empowerment kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like people call me a freak, so I'm just gonna kind of use that as like a way to empower myself. So I think it's not meant to be like a negative thing. I think it's just meant like, like kind of taking control of the situation kind of deal.
And the shock is just like, how is this here? What? What? How? What? This is real?
It is pretty
Who
shocking.
are these freaks? What?
It's like people like me, like, yeah.
It's too good to be true. I love that for Bon Clay.
Yeah. It's really making Impel Down feel like this little world. There's like such an ecosystem here in Impel Down. There seems to be even like these, hidden pockets and undiscovered areas of this massive, massive prison.
Yeah. Because they like the workers here, like the guards don't know about this place.
Yeah.
Again, they were explaining it away as like the demon's invitation. but it's actually people were finding this paradise like in this prison. So it's like everything else is terrible like around this place, but they found like this little sanctuary, and it's kind of like best case scenario for them because they can find this freedom to be who they want to be, and it's very empowering, I think. So I'm like a straight like cis like white male, so like I don't really have too much to like say like for other people, but I like the messages. I'm hoping that this is a positive message for people in this community, like the LGBT QIA plus. Yeah, so I hope that this message comes across that way because I think that's what the intention is, and I think it's a way for people to celebrate like those differences and to have that freedom to feel like they can be them true selves here. And that's the message that Ivankov is spreading, and that is like the kind of life that they're able to live over here. So they have each other to support them, and they don't have to worry about being ostracized any further because now they found a home that they can live together.
So I would like to mention something semi-recently. So we arrived at this chapter roughly at the same time. So one of my favorite cosplayer individuals is this. I believe they go by they them. Bucket Brown on I'm a big fan of their work and their cosplay, and they've gotten into One Piece recently. And they very, very, very recently cosplayed Ivankov.
Oh, nice.
So, and I actually, well, it's not going to show up very well here, but you can like look up Bucket Brown or something, and it's they're really cool. And they posted this image of them in almost the full getup except for the tattoo, and I responded with, I didn't realize they weren't okay. I just responded with a GIF to them on Twitter, and they're like, "Oh, thank you. I almost forgot the tattoo." And I was like, I helped the costume. Yay, fantastic. So as an example of someone like a non-binary they them individual who's just a recent convert into One Piece, I've been following their enjoyed their like they got a little farther than we are. They're watching the anime, but they seem to very much like Ivankov. So
cool.
It's small. It's a small reference pool. Obviously, I'm not saying everyone has to, but it's cool to see a creator I like that is non-binary that likes the character as well. So
yeah, I just feel like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I just found them on Twitter, and this it's dead on. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Holy.
Really
Joel, you were saying?
I think I lost it.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm sure it'll come back to me.
While you're trying to find again, one thing I will say is that there is a very, very large LGBTQ plus fan base for One Piece. There's a Facebook group that I'm part of that I don't even want to give the name of because I want Evan to get accidentally spoiled to it from like his phone, like hearing it and then bringing it up or something like that. But so many people talking about how Ivankov and other genderqueer or trans characters have helped them feel more comfortable in their own skin and help them understand themselves and understand that they have the freedom to be who they are. And just anytime I see someone feel validated by this work and find a community in that, it's just the most wholesome thing ever.
That's awesome. Oh, and it did come back to me. Yeah, so I do think it's really cool, especially considering, again, going back to the time period that this came out. Also, like Japan is a lot more conservative than we are. So I do think it's really great that Oda included this type of content in his story with that in mind. I'm not too familiar with like other works that are from Japan that have something exactly like this. I know that there are cases of cross dressing, drag queens. Like I know they do come up. So I do think that there is like a drag queen community in Japan. I do think that is something that there is like a base for that, and Oda did take inspiration from friends that he knows personally for some of these characters. So I do think that's really cool. But I just love that we do have these icons that we can have in the story that are about, again, spreading these concepts and these ideals, because Luffy himself is about spreading like freedom, and like he has certain ideals, and that's like what Luffy is about. And I love having other characters in the story that are also about that, but like in a different like community that can also be a voice for them. So I know it's a work of fiction, but I do think it's also great to have these characters kind of be like a voice piece that can represent that too.
Agreed. I don't know what else to say besides, yeah, I think that's all pretty dead on.
Exactly.
It's also really cool that we get this character Inazuma. So the first time they showed up, they were a male, and then just the next scene, they're now female. So I think they're a perfect example of a non-binary character.
Gender fluidity.
Yeah,
let's go.
They're literally
go.
gender fluid. So I think that's really cool, and Ivankov can enable that. So with these powers, Ivankov has that capability, but we have a character who shows up, as both male and female. So it's cool that like it's just something that's like not, it's just like so discreet. It's not like pointed out. It's just they transition like from one panel, and then like another next panel we see them. They're now a different gender. So I think that's just really cool. I'm also very excited for the live action to be able to represent this.
Agreed.
Same. I need it.
Because this will also give plenty of opportunities for actual drag queens to hopefully be involved with the series. Especially nowadays too, where like drag queens are like demonized in a way that's so like heartless and like unfair. Like the fact that they can't even like read books to kids without getting like attacked and try to be like outlawed, to like basically people are not being given the right to be who they are in the US. So again, this is a work of fiction, but I think that this is why like fiction can be so important, because it can also again empower those people who are being in the real world not treated correctly, and we can kind of strive for these ideals. So I think it's just very important to have this representation and to normalize these kinds of things and let people be who they want to be. And I really can't stress enough that I think that's what Oda is trying to express here.
It's unfortunate that that this is an issue that we are having after I'd say some moderate progress in the 2010s. But I guess the fact that there is a story out there that is showing the humanity and the same deserving of respect and freedom as anyone else right now, and then maybe some people will find this and when they're young and realize, oh, everyone deserves this respect, everyone deserves just to be who they are and be happy. It does give me a lot of hope for the good in the world in the future, that this message that was first written down 15 years ago in this manga in Japan might do good toward the future.
Yeah,
it's a message that's always relevant.
It's art, baby.
And I do think it's very interesting to point out there are certain things we mentioned that we feel haven't aged well in One Piece, but I think this is something that has actually aged better, like over time.
It has only gotten better over time. Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So, what do you guys actually think about the character Ivankov? I know we briefly mentioned him, but
I love them. I think they're hilarious. I think they're badass. I think just like the fact that like Deathwink is their attack is so weird in the best way. It's so stupid. I love their whole a little tired. Nope, I'm good.
Like his fake outs.
So basically, the not shtick, it just works for some reason. I like this is so simple, but it still tickles me for some reason. I love them.
Yeah, I love this reveal panel too.
Yeah, so we get this little show going on, and Ivankov's like giving like this message, and it says something like shut your traps, candy boys and girls. Forget manners and protocol. People can talk to me however they want. They can even call me Pooh.
They better not.
But they better not.
You got us that time.
Yeah, it's just like such a fun vibe like going on here, you know. And then like the whole thing, like when that pirate like pulls like the gun on Ivankov, and like Ivankov acts like all scared.
No, wait. Look at here's gun. Oh, if you shoot without die, I'll be fine.
Yeah, and then we get the awesome Deathwing just blasting the cannonball right back at him.
So I'll post it later in our chat, but the English dub version of Ivankov's introduction in the anime is also extremely good. I watched it recently, and they change a couple of the translations a little bit. They actually use the word "gay" a couple times.
I did notice that.
I think it really nails the atmosphere in a more modern sense than this, which I mean, like, we all know what they're saying here, but there's a lot of like queen and a lot of like more like they never quite come out and say. I don't think they ever say gay in at least the translation I'm reading here, something like that. So, but they do in the dub, and it's
that's right.
It's really cool.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah, I did realize that before, but I didn't realize that it wasn't used here. So I think that's interesting to point out.
But yeah, Ivankov's dope. I'm very excited to see more of them. And they've already started treating Luffy.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Is
Sounds
there
like
might be hope after all.
Yeah, just no problem. Everything's going fine. He's only been screaming for 10 hours straight.
Yeah, so sounds pretty horrible. Yeah, it's looking good though with the treatment time though.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
Looking great.
But it seems like the feeling has been mutual with Bon Clay and Luffy because they were both begging to help their friend. But Luffy was awake somehow when they found him, so he was able to plead for him to help Bon.
Yeah, I love this connection that they've rebuilt.
Yeah.
And just like the overall arc, like I love how we have Luffy who is going literally to hell and back to save Ace, and in doing so has been captured, and now we have Bon Clay who won't give up on Luffy and is now saving Luffy, who's saving Ace. It's like I just love it, and yeah, I'm excited for the rest of the volume.
For sure. Yeah. So, do you guys have any other thoughts for the chapter of the volume?
I waited a long time to get to really cool stuff from Oda on this front, and we're getting there. We got there, and I'm very, very happy that everyone gets to see it. And it's mostly all uphill from here in terms of that, with a couple peaks and valleys, but we'll get to that.
Mostly uphill. Mostly.
Because Sean has been alluding that there are better representations of
this
the
is
community.
the primary thing that I've been alluding to.
Yeah. So I think Ivankov is pretty much like an icon, you can say, like for the series. So, and then just like a minor thing. So we do have the SBS here. So I believe it's for this chapter. There, Cody had mentioned before that how the symbol was determined for Impel Down. So yeah, it was like we mentioned, where it's like an I and a D, but it's just cropped out in a way to only show a part of it. So the flag has more of it, but then like on the patches, it's like a little bit less. So he kind of shows how it's been cropped out to form those two logos. But essentially, the concept is it's an I and a D to make that symbol.
We called it.
Yeah, just a minor thing I just wanted to point out because it was confirmed in the SBS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, now other closing thoughts?
Great stuff. Not looking great for Luffy, but as a whole, Impel Down has suddenly become much less eternally filled with despair. There's a pocket of resistance inside it that is thriving.
A ray of hope, if you will.
A ray of hope, if you will. A definite of hope.
Yeah, so like the whole arc has been kind of like a downward trend of just showing how horrible this place is, and it's just been getting worse and worse. And we've been seeing some great moments of friendship and determination, and from Luffy and Bon Clay in particular, because they're both fighting for people that they care about, and it's extended to each other as well. So I think it's been really great to see this arc unfold. But it's also important to note here that we're not focusing on the Straw Hats like as a whole. So we have an arc here because Amazon Lily was like a smaller arc, but now we have it like kind of like a longer form arc where there is an absence of the Straw Hats with the exception of Bon Clay here and there, like take on the form of Zoro, and now in this one Nami. So they're like little glimpses of the characters, but it is interesting to note here that we are getting more story without the main cast. But it is kind of being offset by bringing back other familiar faces. So I'm not saying that they're a replacement for the Straw Hats, but it is like a way to give Luffy a different supporting cast for this for the story, for characters that we don't have this many interactions with. So I think it is interesting to see this start to play out. I think it's really exciting to now see where the story is going from here.
Mm-hmm. And how it's just how remarkable it was that Luffy is able to find so many people that he vibes with but have such loyalty to so quickly.
Right.
At least we have one of those in Bon Clay, but
yeah,
still.
He's already built his prison crew.
Okay, so with all that being said, that will conclude this week's episode of the We Are Reading One Piece podcast. You can find this episode wherever podcasts are found at We're Reading One Piece podcast.buzzsprout.com or on the YouTube channel at We're Reading One Piece. This is a spoiler-free channel up to where we have recorded the podcast, so if you're new to the series, you can visit the channel there. You can also find me and this podcast on my YouTube channel at Pirate King Codex for more One Piece content. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, you can reach us at wearereadingonepiece@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from listeners, so if you're enjoying the show, or if you have any suggestions on how we can make it better, let us know. Next episode, we'll be finishing Volume 55, A Ray of Hope. I've been Joel, and I've been joined by Sean.
This has been Sean.
Evan.
Thanks for listening.
And Cody.
I just have to say, I'm getting sick of this. I'm not feeling this, but truly, I really can't wait for next episode with y'all.
He got us.
He got us.
I had to.
All right. Well, be sure to bring along all of your hopes and dreams, and we'll see you on the next episode.